My name is Amardeep, and in this video I'm going to be talking about a very nice function in Excel, which is SUMIFS. So let me just give you the background of the case question that I'm going to be walking you through with for explaining the concept of SUMIFS function in Excel. So in this sheet, as you can see, we've got the sales data for a company on a monthly basis. So in the first column A, we've got the months listed out as January 2008, February 2008, and so on, so forth, and going up to December 2010. So we've got the monthly data for 3 years starting from 2008 up to 2010. In the next column, we've got the sales data of this particular company. Now, what I intend to do over here is that the intention is to get the output table like this, wherein we have the quarterly data of this particular company by various years. So we've got the year numbers listed over here in the row as 2008, 9 and 10, and then in this column we've got the quarter numbers listed out as 1, 2, 3 and 4. So the overall sales data that we have over here for these 3 years, that data need to be summarized over here in the final output section. Okay. Now, there are a couple of data points which are missing at the moment, which we need to first of all plug over here before we can proceed further to use the final function over here for the purpose of summarization of data. And those missing data points are, number one, we do not have the year numbers culled out in this particular table. So we've got a separate column, which is column E in this case, to fetch the year number to begin with. And number two, we need the quarter number as quarter number 1, 2, 3 and 4. So assuming that the company follows Jan to December as a financial year, so the first quarter would basically begin in January and would include February and March. The second quarter would be indicating the period starting from April until June and so on, so forth. So we do not have the quarter number as well. So that's the second data point that we would need over here. But to be able to work out the quarter number, we would need to first of all get the month number, because unless I get to know that which month we are talking about, whether it is January month, which is month number 1, or February month, which is month number 2, and so on and so forth, we cannot categorize that into a quarter number. So the intention is to have the quarter number, but to be able to get the quarter number, we need month number to begin with. All right. So we will kind of begin with the month number first of all, and then as we proceed further, we would include the quarter number and the year number as well. Okay. Now let's get started with this. So if you have a date, like the first date over here is 1st Jan 2008, then you can use different functions related to dates to call out the day or the month number or the year number. Like in this case, I'm going to use the function which is month function, which is used to extract the month number from a given date. So if you have a particular date, from there you can get the month number by using the month function. Okay, so I'm going to write the month function over here, which is equal to month, and then you have to give reference to the date from where the month number needs to be extracted. Like over here, I'm going to give reference to A4 to begin with, because that includes the base date from where the month has to be extracted, and then I would close the bracket. So month of A4 will give us number 1, because that's for January. Then month for the second date, which is 1st February 2008, the corresponding to that, the month function is going to result in number 2, because February is month number 2. And if you copy and paste this formula down, you will be able to see that the month function is kind of giving us the month numbers from 1 up to 12, depending on the month number. All right. So for December over here, you can see the month function is giving us number 12. Now, very similar to month function, we have another function which is year. Year function is used, this is used to extract the year number from a given date. So if you have a given date like 1st January 2008, then the year function will extract the year number from this particular date. So I'm going to write equal to year and then give the base date which is there in A4. So year of A4 is going to give us the result as 2008, and if you drag it down you would notice that it changes to 2009 corresponding to the date 1st January 2009, and finally it changes to 2010 corresponding to 2010 year number. So it doesn't matter which month or which day we are talking about or what is the base data we have got in the base date, it only fetches the year number. Alright, so we've got the two set of data points extracted over here. So the first one, we got the month number by using the month function, and then we've used the year function to extract the year number. Now another leg missing over here is to get the quarter number. So quarter number can be 1, 2, 3 or 4. Now how do you basically get the quarter number? So corresponding to the month number 1, 2 and 3, we will get the quarter number as 1. Corresponding to 4, 5 and 6, you would get the quarter number 2. For the month number 7, 8 and 9, you will get quarter number 3. And finally, for the month numbers 10, 11 and 12, you will get the quarter number 4. Now, the quarter number 1, as I said, corresponds to month number 1, 2 and 3. So, be it month number 1 or month number 2 or month number 3, I want to get the quarter number as 1 for all these 3 months. So we need to think of a formula which can do this task for us. So if I were to tell you that the first quarter is ending in the month number 3, the second quarter is ending in the month number 6, third quarter is ending in month number 9, and the fourth quarter is ending in the month number 12. So if I just list out the month numbers at which the quarter is ending, then those month numbers would be 3, 6, 9 and 12. So corresponding to 3, the quarter number is 1, corresponding to 6, the quarter number is 2, corresponding to 9, the quarter number is going to be 3, and finally corresponding to month number 12, the quarter number will be 4. So if you try to work out a relationship between these, you will notice that the quarter number is kind of taking the month number and dividing it by 3. So if I have to find out the month number divided by 3, then what would that be? So let's say for the sake of our discussion, I just include a new column over here to get month number divided by 3, just to see what is the result we get over here. So I'm going to take month number and then divide it by 3, because we just noticed that this 3 by 3 gives us 1, 6 by 3 gives us 2, 9 by 3 gives us 3, and 12 by 4 gives us 4. So I'm just taking all the month numbers and I'm going to divide it by 3. And I've dragged this formula down. So I've simply taken month number divided by 3. So 1 divided by 3 to begin with is going to give me 0.3. 2 divided by 3 will give you 0.66. 3 by 3 will give you a complete number 1. And then it moves on to 1.3, 1.6, 2, 2.3, 2.6, and then 3, and so on, so forth. Now what do we need? In the quarter number corresponding to 0.3, 0.6 and 1, we need the answer as 1, because in all of these 3 cases the quarter number would basically remain 1. Now this 1 remains 1, there is no problem. This 0.6 can also be made 1 if I simply use a round function. Then this 0.6 will become 1, because 0.6 with 0 decimal place would be rounded off to 1. But there would be an issue with this 0.3, because if you try to round it off then this 0.3 will be rounded off to 0, which is wrong, and that's not something that we're looking for. So if I do a simple round, then it's going to round off that number to a specified number of digits, but that rounding is going to happen to the nearest integer. If I give the rounding off to 0, then that will be rounded off to the nearest integer. But in this case, what I intend to do is the 0.3 should be rounded upwards to 1. Alright, so instead of using a conventional round function, I would need to use round up function, which basically rounds a number up away from the 0. So the 0.3 upwards would be rounded upwards to 1. 0.6 would also be rounded upwards to 1, and 1 is already an integer, so there is no decimal place here, so it will remain 1. Alright, so to be able to get the quarter number, we are going to use the roundup function on this month number divided by 3, and then I'm going to give the number of digits as 0 because the number of decimals that I need in the result is 0. So I'm going to put that as 0 over here. So roundup of these values with 0 decimal place will result in 1, 1, 1 for the first 3 months, then 2, 2, 2 for the next 3 months, then 3, 3, 3, and finally 4, 4, 4 corresponding to these ones. Alright, so the way we have worked out the quarter number in this case is we have used the roundup function on month number divided by 3. So if you do not wish to add an additional column over here in the column D, you could just skip that and straight away write the quarter number formula as equal to round up month number divided by 3, 0. So in that case, you don't need to add an additional column. Alright, so let me just go back, delete this entire column and write a formula straight away over here, which is equal to round up month number divided by 3, because we want to divide that into 4 quarters, so each quarter will include 3 months, so we'll divide it by 3, 0 decimals. So that gives you the quarter number. So let me just write the formula over here so that you could just see the formula written over there. So the formula for the month was this, formula for the quarter is this, and the formula for year is this. Let me just change it to a different color. So month number can be extracted by using the month function. Quarter number can be extracted by using the roundup function, wherein you take month number divided by 3 and then round it upwards to 0 decimal place. And finally, the year number can be taken by using the year function. So we now have the base data points ready with us. We wanted the quarter numbers, we've got it over here in column D. We wanted the year numbers, and that also we've got in column E. So we can now summarize the sales data which is available in column B by using SUMIFS function. So in Excel, we've got this function called SUMIF and SUMIFS. The basic difference between these two functions is the first one is an old function which is used to add a range of cells based on one condition. So you could only check for one single condition in case of SUMIF. But if you have more than one conditions, then you can use SUMIFS function. So this can be used to add a range of cells based on one or more conditions. Now I have also mentioned one over here because if you have only one condition, still you could use SUMIFS function. So the point is that if you've got a single condition to be checked, then you have an option to use either SUMIF or SUMIFS. So you can use both of that in that case. But if you have more than one condition, then you have only one function, which is SUMIFS, which can be used for adding values by checking multiple conditions. Alright, now in this example you notice that we have got two conditions to check. One is the year number and the second is the quarter number. So I want to summarize the sales data over here by checking two conditions at the same time. So I can only use SUMIFS function in this particular example. Okay, now let me show you how the SUMIFS function can be used over here. So I'm going to write the SUMIFS function. The very first parameter that you need to provide in the SUMIFS function is the sum range, which is basically the range which needs to be added. And that range is the sales data. So our sales data is currently included in the range B4 to B39. So we've got the data starting at the top in B4 and going up to B39. Now just be mindful of the referencing concept over here, because we have to copy and paste this formula in the entire range of cells that we have got in the output table. So whatever formula we would write in the first cell, that formula needs to be copied and pasted in the other cells as well in this table. So I have to copy and paste this formula on the right hand side for the subsequent years and also downwards for the subsequent quarters. Alright, so we need to fix that. So I've pressed the function F4 key to bring the dollar sign over here. So the moment you press that, that would kind of fix the entire range in totality. So that means $B $4 means the column B and row number 4 are fixed. So when you copy and paste this formula anywhere, whether on the right hand side or towards down to the subsequent rows, the reference to column B and row number 4 shall not change. And same is the logic for B39 as well. So the base data is going to remain unchanged. Okay, now put a comma. The second parameter in the SUMIFS function is the criteria range number 1, which means that where is the original range which includes the base data on which the condition needs to be tested. So I want to first of all get the data only for the year 2008. So my condition range is given over here starting from E4 up to E39. So the year range in the base data is given in E4 to E39, and this also I'm going to fix in totality by using the function F4 key. So once you press that, it brings the dollar sign over there, comma. Then you have to give the criteria number 1, which is basically the criteria or condition corresponding to the range number 1 that we have just provided. So the criteria range that we just provided is basically E4 to E39. So corresponding to that, our condition is given in H4, which is 2008 to begin with. Now here you need to be a little careful in terms of putting the dollar sign, because if you just press F4 key, then it's going to bring $H $4, which would fix both column H and row number 4. However, when I copy and paste this formula on the right hand side, I would want the year number 2008 in column H to be shifted to year number 2009 in column I and year number 2010 in column J. So I do not have to fix the reference to column H, while the reference to row number 4 needs to be kept constant, because when I copy and paste this formula down for the subsequent quarters as 2, 3 and 4th quarter, then the year number would still remain in row number 4. So just press the function F4 key one more time and you would notice that this $H $4 changes to H $4, and that's precisely what we are looking for, because we have to fix the reference to row number 4, which includes the year number, but we do not have to fix the reference to column H, and that needs to change to column I and column J as we move to the right hand side. Alright, then the criteria has been given. Now put a comma again. Now you have to give the condition range number 2 or criteria range number 2. If you have only one condition, then don't give this second comma over here or the subsequent comma over here and close the bracket straight away. If you have the subsequent conditions to be given, then put this comma and then give the criteria range number 2, which is basically the range which includes the second condition to be tested. Now the second condition to be tested over here is that in 2008 I want to pick the data only and only for quarter number 1. So the quarter range is given in D4 to D39 in the base table. Fix that so that it remains unchanged when you copy and paste the formula in this output table, comma, criteria number 2 corresponding to this range, which is quarter number 1. Now I've got quarter number 1 in this cell on the left hand side, which is G5. So you can't see it over here because we have the SUMIFS formula written over here, so the visibility is hampered, but the quarter number 1 is given in the cell on the left hand side, which is G5. So I've used the left arrow key to select G5. Now here again you need to use the dollar sign, but the first time you press the F4 key you would notice that it brings the dollar sign in front of both column G and row number 5. But I don't have to fix row number 5 in this case. The reason for that is when you copy and paste this formula down, the reference to G5, which is quarter number 1, should shift to G6, G7 and G8, which is basically to capture the subsequent quarter numbers. So you do not have to fix row number 5. So I have pressed the function F4 key 2 more times to toggle this dollar sign. So first time when you press the F4 key, it brings the dollar sign in front of both G and 5. Next time when you press the F4 key, it toggles the dollar sign and gives you $5. And when you press the F4 key for the third time, you would notice that it changes to $G5, which means that only column G is fixed and row number 5 is relative. So when you copy and paste this formula on the right hand side over here for the subsequent years, the reference to column G shall remain unchanged, while the row number 5 would shift to row number 6, 7 and 8 when you copy and paste this formula down. And that's exactly what we are looking for. Alright. So we have given both the conditions, the first one for the year number and the second one for the quarter number. So how this formula is going to work, we can close the bracket now as we do not have any subsequent conditions to be checked over here. So this formula will basically add the data, sales data in the column B for only the records wherein the year number is 2008 and the quarter number is 1. So let's just press enter. You notice that it is 60. And if I manually show you the year number 2008, quarter number 1, you've got 3 data points, 10, 20 and 30. And the sum of these 3 is actually 60. Right? So this formula seems to be working fine. So we can now copy and paste this formula in this entire table. So just press Ctrl C to copy this, select the overall range and press Ctrl V to paste this formula in this entire range. So we've got the entire sales data summarized over here in this table. So that's how you notice that the SUMIFS function is kind of summarizing the overall sales data by years, by quarters. So if you wish to now check if this formula is giving us the right result or not, so you could put a simple check over here, which is nothing but the sum of the overall sales given in B4 to B39, and this needs to be exactly equal to sum of the sales that we have computed over here in this table above in the range H5 to J8. So if you notice that the answer is true, that's an indication that the formula over here is working fine, and that's precisely what we are seeing over here. It is showing us true, which means that this formula is working fine. So the base data from the column B is giving us the same result as the sum of the sales over here in this table. Alright, so just to show you the formula over here corresponding to cell H5 over here, the formula that I've written over here is this. So let me just highlight that in a separate color. So that's the formula that I've written there. So under the SUMIFS function, the first section is the data which needs to be added. Then it works in pairs. So you need to give the criteria range number 1, which is there in E4 to E39, which gives us the year numbers, and the criteria corresponding to this, which is 2008. Similarly, the criteria range number 2 is this quarter number range given in the column D, which is D4 to D39. Then the criteria corresponding to this, which is given in G5. So that's how this SUMIFS function works. So I hope this clarifies that how this conditional function called SUMIFS can be used for adding a range of cells by checking one or more conditions. Thank you.